I'm streaming to many places now. I actually don't even know if all of this is working, but I should be streaming to LinkedIn, YouTube, Vimeo, and somewhere else, Facebook or something. And it looks like it's working. So the first thing I'm going to say right away is I'm going to do random streams because I want to and because I can. And then the other one is if you're chatting at me in any of the chats, I have too many chats going on to know how to watch all of them. That's not something I've figured out yet. So even if you want me to know what you're trying to tell me, I simply have too many chats to be able to follow any of it. So I'm just going to just talk a little bit about what I do plan on doing because I'm going to actually just run an Ask NATO show just because, where I'm just going to talk about whatever I want. Because I started a YouTube channel called the Ask NATO YouTube channel, and I'm streaming to that right now. And that's sort of my like home for content creation when I'm doing videos and stuff like that. Like if when I do free coaching Fridays, I let everyone in the outside world who's not in the Facebook group watch and be a spectator, an audience to my coaching sessions. And then if you want to be a part of my coaching sessions, then those are only in Facebook. But right now I'm not doing a coaching session. I'm just streaming live to just all the random platforms that I have stuff set up on. So uh, thanks for everyone who's watching. Really, a lot of the things I just want to talk about, because really I'm a business owner, an entrepreneur. I build more products now than I used to because you run your own company and do whatever you want and you can build whatever you want. You have this dangerous situation where you can overwhelm yourself with trying to make too many things and too many products. And that can be a thing too. But yeah, I've been teaching DevSecOps and cybersecurity for anyone who hasn't caught any of my streams before. Yeah, I'm just gonna start random streams, like because I can stream whatever I feel like streaming. I can show people some random stuff about like cloud development. I could stream a game if I felt like it because I can now, which I think is pretty neat. And yeah, when weird things come up, I guess I'll talk about it here. So, anyways, I just wanted to make just a blast announcement saying that I am going to start just doing random streams. And one thing that I am excited about is we are launching this DevSecOps dojo, which like consumes my life right now. I've been like working really hard on launching this thing called the DevSecOps dojo, which I'm going to be releasing details on tomorrow. Honestly, I've been working on it so much I literally don't have anything else to talk about. It's just like this isn't even me just like trying to like advertise to people or something like that. It's like, Nato, what have you been up to? I've been building this DevSecOps dojo for I don't even know. I've been like losing sleep over it practically, and so basically, I got this idea from one of our members in discussion of like, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if we just had like a way to like constantly like up our skills and keep refining our stuff and always have a way to like have continuous skill upkeep and learn all the new technologies just as they come out, because that's what I do on a regular basis. New technology comes out, my hobby is working with technology and things like that, so I'm like, oh sweet, I've never heard of that, I'm gonna go learn everything about it and then build something with it for no reason. And then in this case, it turned into now I'm building products with what I learned. Then I'm like, oh, sweet, I can do this to my products now. So I'm like, all right, yeah, continuous training. That sounds great. I could do continuous training to teach people how to do this stuff. Yeah. And then the idea went even further. It was like, oh, well, if you're used to developing all these things, like what could we develop? I was like, I don't know. My goal is to build a cloud for my business, but I guess if I wanted, if I'm teaching everyone how to do what I do on a regular basis and everyone's building cloud together, if everyone's building cloud together, we could actually just take what we're doing and like combine the resources and just go build a cloud. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do genuine real world continuous training by providing resources and assets that we build ourselves in-house, which means that we build hardware now, we compile our own software like structures and guidance now, and so then I'll just teach everyone how those things work so that you can do whatever you want with the knowledge. You could build your own products, you could do like go get a job, but really what a lot of this is going to is like in terms of what I enjoy doing the most is I really do enjoy teaching the advanced stuff that I enjoy doing for myself, because there's a lot of advanced stuff in the kind of work that I do that I despise doing. And I also don't really want to teach it because I don't even want to do it myself. But the things that I like doing, like I love cloud technology. I like building the stuff. I think it's just really interesting. I think clustering's fascinating technology. I'm like into AI and like all these things. And I like always have these projects. So anyways, I'm setting up like a whole like progression system for people who want to know how to literally just build cloud for themselves. Build your own cloud if you want. Build a cloud at home. And like at costs that are virtually unheard of to people who want to know how to like learn this stuff. You could go spend like $20,000 to learn a fraction of what I'm about to teach people for like $150 a month. And you know, not many entities teach like cloud. Like a lot of the entities where I used to help teach and things like that, like they'd charge $20,000 and then that you'd get to actually learn from me for $20,000. Great, you just paid $20,000, but you know what? You're not learning. You're not learning what I'm going to be teaching. I'm going to be teaching like the cutting edge stuff. Like what are people doing right now? Educational facilities have these restrictions for like they have to standardize and they have to do things to like keep up with the masses, and they have to have like teaching formats that they can easily teach other teachers so that they can keep getting other teachers to keep growing their educational program. I'm creating an educational format where you just do real world stuff that kind of lifts that need for standardization out of what we're doing, because we're going to focus on what's new, what's cutting edge, research and development, what just came out that there's probably not even a certification out yet for, but all of a sudden we're seeing Kubernetes certifications pop up. I've been working with things like Kubernetes and Docker and things like that, cluster architectures. And now we're going to start seeing all these, I've started to see them, cloud hacking certifications popping up and stuff like that. And since that's just like what I do, I'm just like, why don't we just, what's the easiest way to prepare for cloud hacking certifications? Build your own cloud and hack your own cloud. So anyways, that's pretty much going to be my life probably for like all of November. Is I'm just going to be building building this dojo, setting up like a step process and starting to build like a cloud underground. We're going to build our own little underground so that we can just teach ourselves, you know, the same stuff that you could learn for a lot more money somewhere else. Really, like a lot of it comes down to like it's literally just me and like my small team of maybe 5 people who are active. So one of the reasons why like my costs for working with me to learn a lot more than you can learn other places is because before, when I worked for an entity, people would have to pay like 300, like people still pay me like $300 an hour, but not to learn, not for education. It's like just to learn from me, you have to pay stupid amounts of money. Now, like, I just make videos now and people learn from me for free, and then people come and join our more advanced programs, and it's really interesting to see. Honestly, one thing I would like to talk about, since this is my show now, my show where I talk about what I want, is it's really interesting for me to watch the progression of people who are trying to get into the cybersecurity industry. And since I help people on a day-in-day basis, like day in, day out, like, oh, how do I get a cybersecurity job? How do I do these things? You notice a lot of the same things. When people go to try to look for a cybersecurity job, you see just the same trends. Everyone's like, oh, what certifications should I get? And people are just now starting to get that, oh, that's not necessarily the way we should consider thinking about it if we don't want to have the most anxiety-inducing job hunt process ever. Because I'll explain. If you try to focus on getting the next certification as your qualification for getting a job, a certification that millions of people have, the certification's not a differentiator between you and other hires. But if you happen to have skills and things that you do for yourself that none of the other hires do, and then usually certifications are just like, we just need to make sure that you can do the kinds of things that this certification claims that you should be able to do. That's the whole thing about certifications, which is if you want to get the certification, it's one of many ways to build qualifications, and you can learn. Certifications are still ways to learn, but it's not the certification that is the thing that gets people jobs, and that's what people get tied up on, is they focus on the certification and not the knowledge. Certifications create knowledge, self-teaching creates knowledge, going to college creates knowledge. I went to college. I'm not the type of person to say don't go to college. If you want to go to college, it creates an entire ecosystem where you have other people around you, instructors who can guide you. It's not self-guided. A lot of what I teach is self-guided, which different people like different things. And so for people who are like, I don't need an instructor, I just want to go do everything my own way and create my own universe doing things how I want to do things. Like, that's how I teach. I teach those types of personalities. But for people who are like, I want to have someone who's going to hold my hand 24/7 and have like a way to sit in a room with a whole bunch of people at the same time. Like, everything I do is online. Like, even though I'm creating a dojo and things like that, it's all online. And now, right now, a lot of things are online. So that really that in-person experience doesn't really exist the same way. But also, like, I'm super introverted. I'm a personality that never preferred being stuck in a classroom with people. I actually am just like, oh my gosh, when can I get out of here? I was the type of person who would oftentimes not go to class and I just take the book home. And my teachers would get so mad at me in college. And if any of my instructors watch any of my videos, you know what I'm talking about. Or like, I'm like that D's gets degrees person. And I'm just like, oh, sweet. So if I don't go to class for 2 weeks and I just read the books, I might miss some quizzes and some other things. But if I pass the test, just the test, then I can get the benefits of the college education and graduating without all of the endless mind-numbing work. And then that gave me time to go get a side job, which then turned into a full-time thing, which is actually when I started doing like malware analysis stuff, like learning malware stuff that computer shop, clean computers, learning some electrical stuff, satellite internet technologies, all that fun stuff in my early days. But really, with the internet, for people who don't prefer the classroom experience, there's no requirement for it. It's not a mandatory thing. And there are a lot of things that people just look at like, you have to have this to be successful. And then this isn't even exclusive to the cybersecurity industry. This is like everywhere. It's like, you have to have these things to be successful. You have to have those things to be successful. A lot of the things that people claim that you need to be successful, really, I don't know. I used to read all these things. You go and you Google all the stuff and you read all the books and you listen to what they tell you in school and all this stuff. And a lot of the stuff that actually gotten me like results in my actual life and results for students who I work with and things like that are not the textbook things. Oftentimes it's stuff like build more self-awareness. People are like, well, I don't understand why I keep failing my interviews. It's like, well, do you understand yourself very well? And they're like, well, but I don't care about all that touchy-feely stuff. It's like, well, then I guess you'll never grow your career. You got to understand yourself, and when people are like, oh, but I don't want to dig deeper into how I operate. You can't understand the people who are paying you until you understand yourself. That's an interesting thing. And so when I see folks and I'm like talking to people and they do one thing and they say something else and then you talk to them about it and they're like, no, I didn't do that. Oftentimes, whatever they say, they mean. And so sometimes people think that people are lying online, because I saw a post earlier. It was like, people lie online. Well, sure, people lie online, and then people might look like hypocrites online. But the human brain doesn't really work that way. We don't necessarily, no matter who you are, like some people might actually identify themselves as liars, and sometimes people consciously lie. But there are a lot of times, and the internet is the thing that catches people on this, and it shows kind of like the human psyche on the web. It's such a visible thing where people will once again say something and do something that's very different from what they say. And if you dig deep enough and confront them about it and actually listen, you'll find that more often than not, people are just like unaware of it. They're just like, stay unaware of it. They're like, oh. And so then I usually just am like, this person's not going to find a job, or at least not the kind of job that they want. And I don't, for anyone who's struggling with that, I'm not trying to diss on anyone by saying that. It's just a very interesting observation. Is you have these conversations with hundreds of people all the time about who knows what, very interesting things. People are fascinating. If you talk to enough people, you'll find that give people enough time and And that aside, regardless of age, without fail, if someone like doesn't really understand their own behaviors, they're the ones who struggle with their career progression by far the most. By far the most. And I don't know, it might be a boring subject matter to talk about, but so I just keep guiding them toward another task to help them figure out like some about self-development, because self-development goes a long ways, because self-development helps you understand yourself better too, and see like, oh, I see. Which is also why like mental health, that's all part of mental health too. If you don't understand your own mental health and how your own brain works, and you're having like things from your own, like how your own mind works, like I have disabilities and things, and it's like if I don't understand how to navigate what my body's forced me into, I'm never going to get anything done, because I'm going to try to like fight my natural existence. And if you try to fight your natural existence, you can't accomplish anything. Chris Roberts made a post about like morning people on LinkedIn, and not morning people, like when you wake up. It's not about being a morning person or a night owl, or not a morning person or not a night owl. Everyone has their own like circadian rhythm, which is like the rhythm in which your sleep patterns naturally sort of like land on. And for some people, they actually operate best if they wake up at 6 a.m. Others, they operate best if they wake up at like 10. And then like for me, I have a lot of things. It's like I'm not really going to do a whole lot until probably like 2 p.m. in my time zone. And so if I'm getting up at, or like getting to my work at like 2 p.m., there's no way I'm going to go to bed at 9. Like that sounds like madness. And I'd prefer to just work at that time. So it's like work when it's going to work for you. Otherwise, if you want to be a high achiever and you're trying to do what other people are trying to tell you how to operate, like, and not trying to figure yourself out first. You don't try to figure yourself out first, even figure out like what kind of advice seems to actually click with how you operate. Maybe you do want to sleep till 10 o'clock and then not do anything till 2. Maybe that's what you want to do with your life. But maybe you're a person who wakes up at 6. So if you wake up at 6 and you go to bed at 9, probably don't start working later in the day. So, it's like people who figure out how they themselves work as an individual tend to seem to just get the most out of everything or anything that they do. And I just see this time and time again. And through conversations, you can find out a lot about a person very quickly. In terms of especially in terms, this is how I sniff out, like, is this person going to perform well, like in a career? And it's more often than not, if I see certain things, I'm like, yeah, this person's gonna like can do it. And then that's where you see me bring on like certain interns and things like that, and certain people where I'll kind of work with them a certain way, or especially when we do like our evals and stuff like that. But the reality is, this is also how I learn more about how people work, is I find someone who I want to understand how they work, and I, instead of other things, I'm like, how about I help you as much as humanly possible, and that's going to help me understand you. Because I believe helping others is a great way to get help for yourself. So if you really want help with your business and you want to like pour your soul into someone, like, and if you can afford to give them money too, even better. If you can't afford to give them money, at least pour your soul into people. Because a lot comes back out of that. I don't know. I'm the kind of person who believes that you get back what you put in. So if you don't want a whole lot of help from people, or you don't want a whole lot of support from people, don't be a very supportive person either. Really, and some people they were like, well, but some people will burn you. Yeah, some people will burn you. But if you don't help anyone, you'll never get help from anyone. And it just really works that way. You can give people money, but helping people changes lives. It's like teach a man how to fish versus just giving a person fish. I don't know if anyone's ever heard this analogy before, but if you give a person fish all the time who's hungry, and then they take that and maybe they can at least cook the fish and stuff like that, then they're always going to come back to you and be like, hey, I need more fish. I need more fish. And it's like, okay, you keep giving them more fish. And just giving people money, it can turn into that. Versus if you're like, okay, well, let me give you enough to do some things, or make sure that you have enough to survive while I teach you actually how to catch the fish yourself, because it's like I have to go catch fish, And if I don't have enough excess all the time, enough fish in excess all the time, why don't I just teach people how to fish, and then I don't need to necessarily have the time? Because one thing about me is I don't have unlimited time. I'm like one person. I have like physical ailments and setbacks. Like, I don't have unlimited time to help everyone in the universe, and none of you have unlimited time to help everyone in the universe. But if I, instead of just like giving people things, and I give people give people knowledge, then this means that people can then better take care of themselves, and they do always. Like, you give people the right knowledge, and then you like figure out what they're about. Those two things: figure out what they're about, and then give them the right knowledge, and then basically teach people how to fish. People don't need your help anymore. They go off and they go do great things, because really most people want to do great things. Now, whether or not they do certain things, they might have setbacks. They might have other things going on. They might have some family issues. They might have some health issues. It might just be the times. Who knows? But generally speaking, giving people knowledge goes so much further than just giving people money or some of these other things. One thing that I spent a lot of time with is because when I was younger, I was part of a thing where when you don't have a house, then you can get housing from other people who aren't you. And so with these systems, it's like, if you just give people like housing or something along those lines, and then you don't teach them how to maintain the assets or maintain like certain things, they'll want to, find ways to kind of continue and grow and flourish. But if people don't have something that helps them understand how to actually, teach people how to fish, give people knowledge. So that's what I've been spending a lot of time doing. That's pretty much just like a life philosophy of mine, I guess. I don't even do it just for the business. I just do that. I just teach people stuff if I know it. I don't know everything. I know random things. But it's just interesting. And I guess I just wanted to talk about some of my observations of people looking around it. And I see all these posts about like, what's the mark of a successful person? I snipe people just at a glance online. I'm like, this person's going to get what they want. And that's how I operate. I'm just like, that person's gonna get what they want. That person's gonna get what they want. Some people might be able to get what they want later, but at this current given time, some people might just need a little more knowledge in certain areas. They might need context in certain areas. They might not have had certain tools to experiment with or get experience with. And so I try to find like, what's the context that people are missing to also become the person who I then look at, where maybe I looked at someone once upon a time. I'm like, they're not quite there. They're not like that person. They want it. They want things. Everyone wants things. But then when they get to a certain level, I'm like, okay, let's see what they're missing. And that's why I try to spend a lot of time with people, so I can figure out like, what are people's actual setbacks. If you don't spend a tremendous amount of time with your people, and I'm going to say this to all business owners out there, if you don't spend a tremendous amount of time with your people, you might not know them as well as you think. And I'm talking about like daily conversation with your people. Now, I don't have unlimited time, so I do have like people who talk to me more on a regular basis. I try to talk to people as much as I can with the time that I have available, which once again is very limited. And I have a very strange sleep schedule, which is partly out of just requirement too. Like, if I wanted to be available at different times of the day, I'm actually physically not capable of it. I don't know if a lot of you know that. While other people who are normal can be, I'm actually not capable of being present at times that other people might even want to demand. Or even if someone offered me like $1 million and they said, you just have to show up at this one time, I'm incapable of showing up at that time, very potentially. And it's just something that I have to navigate. But just because I have problems most certainly doesn't mean that like I can't go and be successful and literally do whatever I want. I don't have to be able to walk all the time to be able to do what I want. I don't have to be able to, like, sometimes I have blurry vision and I can't even see the screen, and I'm a developer. I can't even see what I'm trying to do. Sometimes, like, I have to navigate all these things. I have very strange condition. And then you get, like, randomly tired, and then there'll be times where, like, the most I can work is just, like, trying to respond to folks, which then those times when I'm probably the most responsive, because that's just about all I can do, I'm like, well, I can't do anything else today, so I'll just talk to folks today on my phone. Be like, how y'all doing? And then inevitably, while I'm like in my times where I'm slow and not quite with it, I'm learning about my people. and I'm having conversations, and it's something that provides me support and enrichment to where it's like, even when I'm having my down days, I'm building myself up. I'm building my people up. I don't have to sit down and just be like down. And so the thing is, if you understand yourself, you can do whatever you want. Because if you don't understand yourself, you're going to have to do what someone else wants you to do. And that's just true. And you still have to find people who you want to serve if you're trying to build a life of your own and a lifestyle that you prefer. You got to find someone to serve. But you build the right skills, you can basically build a life where you serve the people you want to serve, people you prefer to serve. And I guess that's just something I'd like to talk about. So I guess I'll probably start doing the Ask NATO show. I'll probably talk more about like my thoughts on this and not so much of the like, we're doing technical things, we're making random stuff, helicopters with Raspberry Pis. I have no idea. I'm always doing so many random things of who knows what all the time that I can't even keep up with myself. And then it's like, it's also because now we have a team, so it's like things happen so fast now. It's like I'm working on my stuff, and then all of a sudden it's like our CTO's got like full on appliances built. The website's like all of a sudden got all this stuff going on, and it's like we have our own LMS platform. Honestly, like progress, it grows and cascades and scales itself if you put people first. No matter what you do, if you want to have a good job and career, people first. If you want to have a good business, people first. If you want to have the best customers, people first. I don't care what it is. If you put people first and then maybe you forgot to charge people money. What if you literally tried to just like serve people first and forgot to charge people money? Create a donation button on your page. And one of the things that helped us quite a bit while we were really trying to build is while we were building, I put a donation button on my website, and because I'm just helping people, they're like, well, how can I support you? How can I support you? I'm like, I don't know. I don't have time to figure that out. I just got to build. And people went on my website to try to figure out how they could support me and just started donating money. And I'm just like, well, I guess if you're donating money, I'm just going to build more stuff. And so then it's like, okay, so now they gave me money to go buy some Jetson Nanos, and then people start sending me parts. And so the thing is, if you're not even focused on the money will follow you faster than you even know what to do. Like, even if you're not selling anything, money, if you just take care of people, people will take care of you. And then it's just, you don't even have to ask people for help. People just help you in return. I tell people this stuff all the time, and it's like, I don't know. But anyways, I'm on a rant. I'll stop ranting. Not that any of it matters, but it's a good time. So I would like to just have some time on a routine basis when I have the time to do it, to just kind of drop some thoughts, drop some of my ideas and what I've been thinking about. And it's not really a time when I'm going to be following the chats, just a time where I'm going to rant. And whatever people are saying, like I said, I'm streaming to so many platforms right now. So many. I'm streaming to Vimeo, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, soon probably expand it to Twitch. Because why not? Oh, and I need to expand it to Instagram too. Well, anyways, that's besides the point. So thank you for everyone who did watch. Yeah. Have a good day.